Satyananda Yoga Nidra is the structured form of yogic sleep systematized by Swami Satyananda Saraswati and the Bihar School of Yoga, popularized in his 1976 book. You lie still and a voice guides you through 8 stages, including a resolve, sankalpa, a rotation of awareness through the body, breath awareness, and visualization, a practice with a blueprint. Most of the deep rest recordings people listen to at night are not improvised. They follow a blueprint, and that blueprint has an author. When a voice tells you to settle, set an intention, then move your attention to your right thumb, your right index finger, your right middle finger. You are inside a structure that one teacher assembled and published almost 50 years ago. That teacher was Swami Satyananda Saraswati. And the structure is what people mean when they say Satyananda Yoga Nidra. It is the most influential version of yogic sleep in the world. If you've ever done a guided body scan relaxation or an NSDR session, you have almost certainly done a descendant of his method without knowing its name. This is what that method actually is, where it came from, the 8 stages it moves through, and what the evidence does and does not say about it. The origin: Satyananda and the Bihar School of Yoga. Swami Satyananda Saraswati lived from 1923 to 2009. He studied under Swami Sivananda Saraswati, and in 1964 he founded the Bihar School of Yoga in Munger in eastern India as a training center for yoga teachers. Over his life, he wrote more than 80 books on yoga and meditation. His most lasting contribution to relaxation practice is the book simply titled Yoga Nidra, published in 1976 through the school's press. That book took a loose idea, a meditative state on the edge of sleep, and turned it into a teachable, repeatable sequence with named stages and scripts. That is why his name is attached to the practice, not because he invented the idea of resting at the threshold of sleep, but because he gave it a fixed form anyone could follow. Satyananda traced part of the method to an older tantric practice called nyasa, in which awareness, and traditionally a mantra, is placed deliberately into specific parts of the body. It is worth being precise here, because the practice is often marketed as ancient. The individual ingredients have old roots, but the 8-stage structure itself is a modern construction. As scholars who have studied the textual history note, Satyananda's full multi-stage technique is not found in ancient or medieval texts. It is a 20th century synthesis, and that is fine. A method does not need to be old to be useful. It is also honest to acknowledge that the Satyananda lineage carries serious controversy. An Australian Royal Commission examined allegations of abuse at a Satyananda ashram in New South Wales. None of that changes what the technique is or how to practice it, but a complete picture of the man and the institution includes it. The 8 stages walk through growth. The heart of the method is the sequence. A classic session moves through 8 stages in order. You do nothing physically except lie still on your back. The voice does the steering. Here's what each stage is for. 1. Preparation and internalization. You settle onto the floor or a mat, get fully comfortable, and close your eyes. The guide brings your attention inward, asks you to stop fidgeting, and establishes the one rule of the whole practice: stay awake. You are aiming for the border between waking and sleep, not sleep itself. 2. Sankalpa, the resolve. You silently repeat a short, positive statement phrased in the present tense, something like, I am calm and at ease, or I rest deeply. This is the sankalpa. The idea is that a relaxed, receptive mind takes an intention more readily than a busy one. You plant it now and you will return to it near the end. 3. Rotation of consciousness. This is the signature stage, the part most people recognize as a body scan. The guide names body parts in a set sequence, usually starting at the right hand and moving through the whole body, and your only job is to move your attention to each part as it is named without moving a muscle. The pace is quick and rhythmic. Cycling attention through the body this way is what pulls the mind away from thinking and into pure sensation. 4. Breath awareness. You simply watch your breathing. Sometimes the guide has you count breaths backward or feel the breath moving in a particular part of the body. Nothing is forced. Observing the breath without controlling it deepens the relaxation and draws attention further inward. 5. Opposite sensations and feelings. The guide invites you to evoke pairs of opposites. First one, then its opposite. Heaviness, then lightness, heat, then cold, or feelings like tension, then ease. Holding both poles and noticing that you can summon and release each one trains a kind of calm non-attachment. You experience the sensation fully, then let it go. 6. Visualization. The guide offers a series of images to picture, often archetypal and emotionally neutral or soothing. A candle flame, a still lake, a mountain, an open sky. You let the images arise and pass. This stage works the imagination gently and keeps you on the edge of sleep without tipping over it. 7. Sankalpa again. You return to the same resolve you set in stage 2, repeating it once more now that the mind is at its most relaxed and absorbed. The book ending is deliberate. The intention is planted at the threshold and reaffirmed there. 8. Externalization. The guide slowly brings you back. You become aware of the room, of sounds, of your body lying down, and you reorient to ordinary waking life gradually rather than jolting up. This unhurried return is part of why a session leaves you settled rather than groggy. A full traditional run through all 8 stages takes roughly 30 to 45 minutes. Many modern recordings trim it to 10 or 20 minutes by shortening the rotation and visualization. The skeleton, though, is almost always this one. Tradition versus evidence, an honest read. It helps to separate 2 questions. Is the practice traditional? Partly with the caveat above, the structure is modern, the roots are older and real. Does it work? That is a different question, answered by research rather than lineage. The honest summary is encouraging but modest. A 2025 systematic review of 6 randomized controlled trials found that Yoga Nidra appears to show promise for improving sleep and related mental health outcomes, while flagging that most of the studies had moderate to high risk of bias and calling for higher quality trials. A larger 2026 systematic review and meta-analysis, pooling 73 studies and more than 5,000 participants, found significant reductions in stress, anxiety, and depression versus active comparison groups, with notably large effect sizes. Large effects in heterogeneous, often unblinded behavioral studies tend to shrink as study quality improves, so those numbers are best read as a strong positive signal rather than a settled fact. On the neuroscience, the single most quoted study is a small 2002 PET scan of experienced practitioners that reported increased dopamine release and a shift in brainwave activity during Yoga Nidra. It is genuinely interesting, but it involved only 8 people with no control group and has not been replicated, so it cannot carry the weight that popular summaries often put on it. Put together, Satyananda Yoga Nidra is low risk, pleasant, and backed by consistent positive signals for subjective sleep, stress, and anxiety, dominated by small trials that warrant cautious optimism rather than clinical certainty. It is a promising complementary practice, not a proven treatment, and nothing here is medical advice. If you have a sleep disorder, it is worth a conversation with a clinician alongside any practice you try, trying it for yourself. The method was designed to be guided, and that is still the easiest way in. The whole point of the 8 stages is that you should not have to remember them. A recorded voice carries you from settling, through the rotation, and the breath and the imagery, back out again. Lying down and pressing play on a Satyananda-style session is the most direct way to feel what the structure does, and to find out whether the border between waking and sleep is as restful as it has been for the people practicing it since 1976. That is the short version. The full sourced article and a free guided session to try tonight are linked in the description. Rest well.